This podcast is about people who run for office for the first time and people who run campaigns for people for the first time. You just finished a race.
Yes.
Let's look at it from the point of view of somebody who is thinking of running for office.
Okay.
What advice, where do you start? What's your first building block?
The absolute first step, number one, don't make a single decision until you sit down with your family and your loved ones, your spouse if you've got one, your parents, your siblings, your best friends. You and I were talking a little bit before. It's sometimes as somebody who's really interested in politics and who believes that they can make a difference, you kind of get tunnel vision every now and then. You think that you're the right candidate for the role, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races and you're planning exactly what's going. You're 5-6 steps ahead of yourself. You need to take a step back and you need to talk to these people who know you well, because they're going to be able to bring things up to you that you might have not thought of. And not only that, these are the people that are going to be your team.
100%. It's your family and your close friends are going to be the backbone of your organization.
That's right. My parents, I just have to say, my parents, my grandmother, who is in her mid-70s, and my best friend were some of the people who gave countless hours to my campaign. They always show up, they don't go home. Exactly. I'll give my best friend, who's been my best friend since I was 9 years old, slept in his car the night before the election in Scituate to make sure that no kids or pranksters or whoever stole our signs or did anything like that, stole our tables or our tents. This is valuable equipment, Slept in his car, woke up at 5:30, 5:45 that morning, drove to our campaign office and knocked on doors and did door hangers until polls closed. Took a break for lunch. That's it.
And a blood transfusion.
He probably needed one. It's astounding to see, the number one thing that I'll always remember about my state rep campaign is just how much I realized how lucky I am to have these people in my life.
The volunteers are
incredible. It's amazing.
And making huge sacrifices for your rights.
Exactly. And it would be unfair for any candidate for office to make a decision without factoring these people's opinions in. My parents my dad joked when the campaign was over that this was the worst summer of his life because he didn't have a summer.
Right. No, it's just nonstop.
He wasn't going to the beach on his days off. Right. He was holding signs or knocking doors or carting me around
doing
so I could knock on doors quicker.
Right.
My mom is the same exact way. I mean, she didn't have a summer. Right. And they give it up like that, though.
So there's two parts to that conversation. One, making sure they do the reality check.
Yes, absolutely.
Two, making sure that you have the conversation about the level of commitment that is going to be required.
That's right. It's not just you running for office. It's your name on the ballot, but it's a whole lot of people behind you.
And you joked about them giving up their summer, but literally, that's what you're going to do.
They did. We live in Wrexham.
Right.
We are a 4-minute walk from the beach.
You can smell the ocean from his front.
I think my dad.
Unlike Sarah Palin, it's not Russia.
Yeah, right. That's right. That's right. I think my dad went to the beach 3 times this summer.
It's a huge commitment.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've had that talk.
So that's number one. You have to sit down with these people. You
sit down with your family members, your friends. Talk about what you're thinking of doing. This is before you announce.
Yes, and then just as importantly, you have to determine whether or not. And this is one of the hard things that you have to do is you look at it through a lens of kind of cross-examining yourself or really...
You've got to do that. You really do.
Are you the right choice for the constituency?
And what problems am I going to have?
Exactly. I mean, are you the right person to represent the constituency, whether it be on school committee, whether it be selectman, whether it be state rep or state senator? I mean, are you the right person for right now, for this moment? That's a hard conversation that you've got to have with yourself. And, we see a lot of candidates run for office because they believe they are. But the stat that we don't know and that we'll never know is how many people almost run, but then don't run because they realize it's not the right time.
So we've had a few people on, and pretty much everyone to a T has said, if you're thinking of running, run.
Yeah.
But first, talk to your family.
It's got to be the right thing for your family, your friends, your loved ones, and for you. When I ran for school committee the first time at 22, I had been working at the State House for 6-8 months. And I have a great relationship with my boss. He's a mentor. He's a good friend for life. He's an awesome guy.
A great Massachusetts politician.
He really is. And you and I were talking earlier. He's one of the ones that truly cares.
Right.
But I didn't know him that well when I first started working for him, obviously.
Right.
I think it was even less than 6 months that I had been working for him when I approached him and said, hey, listen, I want to think about running for school committee. But I want to ask you first, is that something that you think I'd be a good fit for? And is it something that you think I can do with the time commitment that you need from me here in Quincy and Randolph, working for you as your legislative director? So that's another step too, is professional obligation.
Right.
Is this right for you now?
Right. Because it is supposed to be a part-time job. It ain't.
That's right. No, absolutely. Running for office is a full-time commitment and then some.
Right.
When I decided to run for rep, we had some stuff going on at the State House. It was about a month before budget session. We had a hand in writing a piece of the Alzheimer's legislation that passed. We had some things going on that I couldn't just leave my boss high and dry on. I had been with him for 4 years. He's a great guy. The district means a lot to me.
Right.
I didn't want to be that guy who just left high and dry and had a new aide come in when they had no idea what they were doing right before all of these important things happened.
Important votes.
So in retrospect, I look at that and I say, I might have thought it was ideal timing for me when I announced.
Right.
But then I look at what happened and how I stayed at work and how I had to weigh those obligations, and of course campaign the right way and not campaign, when I'm on.
You have to
the
do it
clock
after
or
the hours.
Exactly. That I'm a stickler for stuff like that. So it's something that
The weird thing about it becomes before and after work. So if you're leaving for work at 6 o'clock, you're actually starting working on the campaign at 4, finishing at 6, going to work for 8 to 10 hours because it is the State House, and then getting off work.
And then you sleep for an hour and a half. But you know what? It's obviously I would still make the decision 10 times out of 10 to run for the seat again. If put back in that moment. But it's something that even I.
You got to think about these.
Even me with my experience working for you and on these campaigns I had done, I didn't even realize. So it's just one of those things.